Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Nuria, and I'll be your host today. Today, we're talking banking as a service. For those of you who are not terribly familiar with this concept, it is changing the way we are doing business, and it's quite fascinating how the governments are enhancing and paving the path to do this change. Here in the stage with me, Francisco and Alejandro from Solaris Bank and from Mastercard will share their knowledge. Open banking is changing and booming the way retail banking is offering its services. In the past 20 years, technology and innovation have changed many business activities and also the financial market. But in the retail industry, it's been in the past few years that we've seen this change, with newcomers entering the sector and offering services, focuses on the client, and giving better services. Open banking promises to boom and to make that change, and we'll see what happens. Many of you might remember the telecom industry back in 2000, where MVNOs were supposed to change the way telecom operators were offering their services. We'll see if open banking can do the same, but for the moment, players such as Solaris Bank and Mastercard are doing their best, and actually it's quite interesting to learn from them his experience. So please, can you tell us a little bit on the role of Mastercard in the VAS segment, Trent?
My pleasure. A pleasure to be here. So thanks for inviting us to this panel. Actually, the bank as a service phenomenon is something that is not an issue of today. And we look back 5 years back when the first neobanks in Europe were launched. So we're talking about Revolut and Trinexis, all these players. We may think they were a fintech that were launching the whole operation on its own, and actually they were leveraging on technology like the likes of Solaris that will enable these apps to be launched massively with all the complexity that entitles managing a car operation. And what we're seeing is the speed of change in payments has grown dramatically over the last few years. And the first to embed and to push this forward have been enablers like bank as a service players that have enabled the creation of new business models that banks, traditional ones, weren't able to create. As a technological company that operates globally in terms of payments, we've been very active in creating this ecosystem, partnering first with the fintech, with these apps, with the new entrepreneurs that wanted to launch a new initiative into the market, and bringing or bridging the gap with those tech companies that were able to provide the service. And in order to accelerate this, we've been focused on creating a number of initiatives that help construct, launch, and scale these business models. We started out with creating our API market known as Developer Zone, where we actually are enabling via APIs that the partners of Solaris can embed into their product suite all our technology. So we're talking about tokenization, I'm talking about card controls, I'm talking about loyalty. And our role is actually to help accelerate the growth of this type of business models.
It's very interesting. Actually, in my investor, we do partner with third parties also to offer through API services, and it's quite changing the way, in a faster way, low-cost way of doing it. So what about you, Francisco? In Solaris, what is your experience? You're a very expert in banking as a service. So.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to explain what banking as a service is. Basically, Solaris Bank started back in 2015 as a fintech. And then suddenly we realized that many things were happening at the same time. First of all, PSD2, the regulator basically opened the banking industry to accelerate competition. Secondly, customer experience. We realized that our customers were not experiencing the type of service that they were expecting from traditional banks. So therefore, what we did was, and certainly certain events have accelerated the implementation of the technology in a very accelerated way. So what we decided was that in 2016 to go beyond our technology platform and request a banking license to our regulator in Germany, which is BaFin. So we became literally a technology platform with a banking license, and therefore what we do as a provider of banking as a service is to allow any partner, any company, whether it is a fintech or a traditional company, to provide embedded finance services. That is, to provide financial products to the end customer when and where they want to have those products. Therefore, we are transforming, we are in a way allowing that all these companies, fintech or not fintechs, traditional, non-traditional, to be able to act as a neobanks, super apps, and to be able to offer these financial products to the end customer, and therefore allow them to buy, to consume all these products, as I said, when and where they want.
And it's very interesting. And how do you see the future of BaaS? You've reached your top, or where is the limit?
No. I think that we have done many research studies, and certainly what we have seen is that there is a potential of 500 million accounts out there that could be in a way created through banking as a service. So we need to understand the traditional model in a way has probably reached a capacity. Certain traditional banks are becoming challenger banks by creating their own digital platforms. But when we take into account the possibility of retailers, e-commerce, neobanks, super apps to really offer all these products and services to even population that don't have the opportunity to access to these services, certainly the opportunity is out there. And we can think, we can think very creatively. Sometimes when I talk to partners, I say, can you imagine Real Madrid or Barcelona, a sporting club, to become a bank? Can you imagine? Well, that's what we do. We allow major players, major brands to embed in their brands financial products. So I think that we have a tremendous opportunity in the BaaS ecosystem.
In Mastercard, you feel the same?
I fully agree with that. Actually, we can share a couple of KPIs that we've been, seeing lately. So, first of all, we expect that around $640 billion are going to be made out of revenues driven from these platforms in less than 3 years globally. So this means that this is no longer a small space. This is becoming more and more the case. So this is no longer a game of providing a platform for a neobank. This is now becoming more and more relevant for any kind of player. We're talking about marketplaces, companies that provide services to SMEs, even governments that are starting to leverage on these platforms to be able to fully digitalize the way they move funds into citizens or even between their own rails. And since the fintech model is growing at a 10% CAGR for the next 3 years, we see a very promising future where even banks are going to be part of it. So banks at the moment have been a little bit, as Francisco was saying, waiting there trying to get their own digital banks, which actually was only a 1.0, 2.0 iteration of their own traditional banking solution, which in some cases was a change of a brand. So in Spain, we have some examples of some efforts that some big banks have done, including just a digital channel and change the name of the bank. But with bank as a service players like Solaris, you can create a totally different experience, which you can create a light banking model. You can create other services like crypto trading, cross-border remittances. So we believe that this bank as a service model in the future is not only going to serve the traditional segments, which were fintech or these new players on the marketplace, but also banks that are starting to see how they can leverage on the quick adaptation of the technology that bank as a service provide to start exploring businesses that today they cannot manage.
Because banking is quite wide, which vertical do you see, Francisco, or more potential on using BaaS?
Certainly what is important is that we allow a quick time to market at a very low cost, right? Because we happen to have the technology and we have the banking license. So any traditional, non-traditional player can actually become a pseudo neobank and offer all the services. We also see a lot of verticals, and what we call now within Solaris Bank the go-to-market strategy is the verticalization of the consumer landscape. And certainly we see suddenly that InsurTech, PropTech, property tech are becoming more and more interested in our solutions, mobility, e-commerce, marketplaces. Ultimately, they want to integrate our banking platform into their sort of end-to-end value proposition. Not only we offer digital banking, which is basically a bank account with a card, like Mastercard attached to it, but we also offer lending. We offer digital assets. We offer brokers as a service. So basically, we have a wide range of products that could be embedded in a brand and ultimately depend upon what is the customer experience. I can give you an example. Right now, we see a lot of interest in property management companies. They come to us and they said, you know what, we are completely fed up with the services that we get from traditional banks. We would love to integrate our services to properties, to landlords, eventually to property owners, so that they can actually have a better service because we are not only providing the property management services, but also the financial services. So I think that in terms of vertical, almost every single vertical or segment that is present in this South Summit is a potential partner for us.
Yes, definitely technology has helped us a lot on this way, as connecting through APIs is automatically and secure, because securization of this transaction is very important. Actually, in my investor, as you know, we do offer investments that traditionally were only reaching private banking clients, and thanks to this technology, we can lower the costs at the minimum and offering to everybody through an app. So that gives me the following question: is this embedded finance contributing to improving financial inclusion, or what? Which in my case, in my investor, I'm sure we are doing, but what about you guys in your international experience? Is it helping, or is it just for a high minority of people?
No, it is absolutely helping. So I think one of the use cases that is the very example of how embedded finance is helping into inclusion. It's what I discussed before regarding government aid. So for example, during the Ukrainian war, thanks to this technology, we've been able to help in real time, almost in real time, so in 1, 2, 3 weeks, the disbursement of millions of euros across Europe, thanks to a digital prepaid card that could be pushed to the refugees so that they could use to the first days of survival. And one of the other things that this technology and this model is helping is supporting the cases of postal offices that are becoming more and more relevant in many markets where banks have reduced their branch network. There's a lot of regions that are not being served with banking services, and we can help them create, back to the example of Francisco on the soccer teams, we are able to create a light bank out of postal service business. For example, this is one of the things that we've done in Spain with Correos. That is now one of the largest prepaid programs in the market, providing this type of service to those that either don't have a bank account or don't want to have a relationship with a bank, or simply don't have a bank that serves their region.
And certainly I believe that banking as a service is an extraordinary way to bring more people, to include more people into the financial system. When we see, the legacy processes or the legacy technology, we have been excluding. Let's say if someone wants to get a loan, usually we base a decision. The scoring decision is based on past data, past behavior. Right now, we're talking to so many different players, how we can integrate current transaction behaviors, how we can really bring people to the ecosystem without being penalized. The fact that now we have become 100% digital, allow people to really get access to a financial product that otherwise would have never got access, whether it is a little town in Castilla y León, or maybe someone who may not have the financial means to qualify to have an account in a traditional bank. I think that more and more banking as a service, open banking, and all the different players that we are part of this ecosystem will do that. I just want to say that I think that every single fintech that is part of the ecosystem of the value chain keep generating more and more insights so that we are becoming more and more intelligent how we can actually provide those services to those people who have been excluded in the past.
Yes, definitely. Everything is changing quite fast. We were talking back in the States about software as a service. No? Back in the 80s, every corporate computer had its own software installed. You had to pay it. And nowadays, all softwares are elsewhere in the cloud, and you are just renting it. So maybe in the near future, with the banking system, we'll see the same. Like third parties offering banking services that are not in their own on their core system. So we have 10 minutes to go. So I don't know if you have here in the audience any questions you'd like to pose to the speakers. No. No questions.
No.
I didn't know if you want maybe tell us some example of success.
Maybe we can a little bit touch. I mean, on the segments that we discussed before that we are seeing, beyond neobanks that we discussed. One of the things that we are also seeing as a relevant space is the B2B. So we talked about the use cases for consumers. So we talked about neobanks. We talked about marketplaces, which is creating a new model for. But we are seeing a huge opportunity in the B2B space. Typically, in a space that has been not taken care of in terms of technology because was mainly driven by ACH, by cash, by wire transfers. And it's now becoming much more efficient thanks to the technology layer that a bank as a service provides. For example, to be able to pay with virtual cards the payment that you need to pay to your vendors, that today is split in 3 spaces. So you generate an invoice, then you generate the order to pay, and then at the end of the week, you send an order to the bank to clear all that. You can actually streamline that with the new technology that bank as a service providers provide. And we are seeing a huge opportunity as well on beyond issuing, on acquiring, so the services that can be provided to merchants, so not just to consumers. And in the new boom that we have now in the credit space, which is linked to buy now pay later, which is becoming a very interesting thing that bank as a service providers can also bring to the market.
True. Yeah, I think that probably is a good time to emphasize the technology, which is an open technology API. And our platform is an open platform that if we haven't integrated a service, we can actually integrate through the partners. So right now, I mentioned we have a couple of modules, but let's say that tomorrow a neobank, actually we are working with a couple of neobanks that are going to be live in the next couple of weeks. They said, okay, I happen to have a particular niche and I want to integrate money transfer. At this point in time, we are working with a potential partner so that we can integrate the platform, but we can allow another fintech specialized in money transfer to be part of our platform, and therefore this neobank will have that value proposition. So it is about the cloud, open architecture, APIs to give access to the sandbox. Actually, we happen to be in the sandbox stage. It is precisely about allowing people to use their insights, to use our technology, and to create a value proposition, and to go live in 6 months at the cost of probably 5% or 10% of what it costs to get a bank up and running, and probably in 6 months compared to maybe a year and a half or 2 years, which is what it takes to get a license from Bank of Spain. So in a way, I like to use this metaphor, which is banking as a service is very much like being in F1, in the F1 world. You can either build your own a team, Mercedes, you have almost every single component branded Mercedes, or you can come to us and be a Red Bull team, right? So you put your logo, you put your brand, you recruit your pilot, you do your marketing, and you leave to Solaris Bank to build a team for you. So that is the amazing thing about having an open platform, that we can bring the best-in-class components to create this solution.
And what about the barriers that normally have been in the banking system, like regulation, anti-money laundering policies? How is it safe for the client and also for the newcomer that comes into a banking platform? Do you do it for them, or are they supposed to do so?
No, we do the whole thing. You know, if you want to have the digital banking part of it, or the lending, we do the full end-to-end. So we do the KYC, we do the onboarding, we take control of the regulatory framework, the compliance, the anti-money laundering. We do all the regulatory reporting to the regulator. We analyze all the suspicious activities. So we are a full banking platform behind a brand, as I said. You can trust that we happen to be the best possible solution in terms of creating a super app, neobank, or whatever you want to call it, because we are 100% regulated, not only by BaFin, which is our regulator in Germany, but supervised by Bank of Spain here. So if you happen to offer a bank account to your end customer, those will be protected, you know, under the secure deposit or garantía de depósitos, you know? So we are a full bank. If you want to offer a loan to your end customer, we are the ones who will be sort of doing the full end-to-end from the initiation of the loan all the way to going after the repayments and so forth. Even if someone doesn't or cannot pay, we will take care of the seizures, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, as I said, it's just go, get the pilot, do your marketing activities, and let us do build the team for you.
This is especially relevant now in Europe because of the current regulation on payments that is becoming really, really complex to manage. So I think one of the key things that fintechs have been done very well in the last few years is creating a very good user experience. But this user experience, if it's not managed properly, under the current requirements of PSD2, could actually ruin the business model. So I think the role of banking service providers that have the right platforms to manage fraud, to manage the authentication process, to make the onboarding of the customer seamless is going to be key. And this is something that it's not obvious when you are starting a new company, when you are just focused on creating a powerful experience to your user, and you know, you probably don't know how to manage all this complexity. This can be fully outsourced to these partners, and this is the way how, you know, the industry has scaled so fast over the last few years. Otherwise, it will take forever to build that capacity.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you. So we happen to take the regulatory and legal burden on behalf of our partners. Just to give an example, right? So global platform doesn't mean necessarily that you can roll it out in a market like that. So going back to KYC and onboarding, we happen to have a partner but when we look into the detail about the AFC regulation, we had to go back to our partner and tell them that they had to tweak the whole process in order to comply with the law. So that is, why we are also, well known for, because we take the regulation very seriously in every market we go into to ensure that we abide by the law and that our partners could feel 100% sure that we are providing a platform that has absolutely all the requirements considered.
Very interesting. I think we are running out of time. Thank you very much for being here, all the audience, and hopefully banking as a service will change the way we do work with retail bankings. So thank you, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.